Oh my God, it's coming, baby. The 4th of July is right around the corner. You know, of course, the deep state's got to be warning us to keep our heads low, to be careful out there. You know what? Go out and celebrate the free land that we live in, baby. We are in America. We are in the golden age of crypto adoption, but we're also stacking on trading Bitcoin. So, welcome to the show, guys. We're going to be taking a look key levels for Bitcoin that I'm watching over the weekend. I'm getting ready for my daughter's birthday and a huge party out here in Colorado. I'm surrounded by thousands of cows, horses. There's a goose that came over and said what up to me. It's absolutely beautiful out here. I got my man, Mr. Isaac, does crypto on the beach,
Sure. On the beach.
ready
I'm
to
in the
celebrate.
Bahamas, ready for the 4th of July. I'm just chillaxing today, guys. It's
Hell
gonna be a
yeah.
great day.
Absolutely. And we're feeling very uppity today, folks. You got it right. We got Cali Crypto Dude, Kryptoni, One House Productions, Jason. What up, people from the BitLab Academy? Welcome into the show. We got all kinds of folks. Bangarang Rufio. We up only now? That's right, baby. We up only. Let's just check it out here. Make sure to follow me on X. I'm at Druth Crypto on X. Also, Isaac Does Crypto. Oh, I got to go home. Now I'm going to be raw dogging Twitter. And
Not a good thing to do.
This is where things get weird. Okay.
What is it? Search history.
Yeah. All right. So here you go.
Bam.
Isaac Does Crypto. There he is. Glad to have you on the show, Mr. Isaac. It's a beautiful day. I'm feeling good. And it's been a hell of a week in terms of trading. Got the overall trading account up by about 20% in total aggregate. Threw a couple good trades this week. So feeling really, really good. You know, I know Josh is doing the $1,000 to $10,000 challenge. I'm probably going to have to go in there, start doing that stuff again once I clean this trading account out and back down. I like fighting lean when it comes to trading, but it's about time to clean out the old basket there and restart it down low. So let's check out where Bitcoin's sitting right now. We are at 109,150 bucks. What I did see right before we were going live is we have a volume node, an internal volume node at $108,700, which likely is going to be at minimum a dead cat bounce location in case we come back down. Because yesterday I was talking about needing to prove this downward trend line can hold as support. That's exactly what I had brought up yesterday. Price has gone up. Obviously, we hit about $110,000. But now I'm kind of looking at, which one of these volume nodes is going to end up being that shelf. Is it going to be $108,700, or is it going to go down to this larger node at $107,300? So these are the levels in terms of short-term price action. In general, we know Bitcoin be up and to the right. Things are looking very, very good, very, very bullish on larger time frames. Looking very solid. Obviously, there's lots of great news to cover and all that stuff, but from a chart perspective, building up a shelf, a punching stance spot right here at the 105,000 point of control on up. This has never been able to be developed in Bitcoin's price history at this level. Absolutely, this is unprecedented to see this basic, shelf right here being built above $100,000, giving us that stair step that we need in something that could look very similar to this moment right here. So I'm watching out this moment right here. Really, could end up looking like this moment right here. So we need these stair steps. Price action like this is healthy. The 4 hour, I got to do a bunch of delete now, don't I? 4 hour looking good as well. There we go. The point of control for, just huge. This is the map for major news events, nasty Trump tweets, crazy events that could happen to push the price down. Some kind of key positions that I'm watching here. You have the main volume node, which held up very nicely on that last trade at $105,500. The one below that, and this is for, kind of trade tensions reopening. If let's say we have a trade tension tweet from Trump this weekend, where I'm watching below us is a 96,100, and then below that at $84,000 flat. These are the three main points of price control that, in my opinion, I'm looking at on the Bitcoin chart as I'm heading into the weekend. Just some context on major volume moments, because even if the price action does indeed turn macro bearish, you'll have dead cat bounces on basically every single one of these major volume nodes. So just something to keep in mind as we get into the weekend here. I know there's probably going to be some crazy stuff said on X, probably going to, this is my opinion. Like, the trade stuff affects the markets more than the war stuff at this point. And trade wise, there is a deadline on the 9th. We're still dealing with waiting for trade deals to be finalized. We did see the Vietnam trade deal went through yesterday, which in my opinion helped that price jackknife through those, $108,000 price point. But we have to get further finalization out of Japan and India. And those are pretty big economies to be talking about. So just be prepared with those levels in mind. Again, it's $105,500, $96,100, and $84,000 flat. Now, where liquidity lives right now, we did just have a slight liquidity washout to the downside. A lot of late longs came in, and the markets opened up and decided, hold up, son, sit down. Now we've had a little bit of a pullback on that. Let's see if liquidity is continuing to eat into this lower band here. So while I'm talking, Isaac, if you can, let me know if we hit 108,800. We'll be generally running out of short-term food to the downside for Bitcoin. So I want to see that. Okay, if you see that, what did Drew pop in his mouth? Let's see. These things are great. These things are great. I need a sponsorship. If anyone works at On nicotine pouches, okay, caffeine and nicotine in one easy to use pouch, delivered straight to the bloodstream, much quicker than any other delivery device. I could be a great salesman for them. You know what I mean?
You could.
All right. So that's what we're watching in terms of price action. 108,800. It does look like I might get that entry point while we're talking here. So let's look at the grander scheme of things, the landscape of crypto. How's it looking? SWI coming back up, trying to come, and I do believe SWI hit that $3 mark earlier this morning, but SWI is the one that's in the dark green, the one that's looking the sweetest on the map here. Solana slightly down, BNB slightly down, Monero slightly down, Ondo slightly. There's just ever so slight movements, really. When you're backed up a few days, alts had that short-term run. It does seem like alts are trying to calm down. We have some pockets of memes doing well right now. We have Bonk, which is doing pretty darn good. Let's go to the overall market cap zone and then see the top winners within this. So Bonk is currently that top winner. TIA token showing as a top winner on the week, but Jesus, it's $1.57. TIA token is more and more shocking. The lower it goes, the more it shocks me. Like TIA token, modular blockchains, this whole, because when TIA Celestia token came out, it was about $2. And, I kind of sat on the sidelines. I think I got in at like 5. It ran up to 20. I didn't take perfect profits on it. I got out at $10. Now seeing it at $1.57. One of the things that I thought about when I got originally that small exposure to TIA was that the VCs will find that continual incentive to kind of prop this project up if they're backing it, right? And, so those token unlocks wouldn't affect it so much. Instead, what I have found over the past year or 2 years is that I think people have woken up to the VC dump on retail's heads playbook that was rinsed and repeated. I really think that, people have kind of the VC dump on your head game is kind of nearing the end of its real prosperity season. So Celestia's token, I think, fell victim to that design. And I think people are actually starting to wake up a little bit. So, Fartcoin up 5%. That ain't nothing to fart about here. Up 20% on the week. Fartcoin is just insane. The higher it goes, the funnier the meme gets. It's a perfect combination. Fart to the moon. I paid my house off with Fartcoin. I mean, what better way to, say you bought your house with crypto than I bought it with Fartcoin. This thing came out at about 11 cents or about 3 cents. It's been chaos ever since. So Fartcoin, I can't righteously hold a spot bag of it. I know people are out there trading it. I know DZ trades this thing quite a bit. SWE token near that $3 mark. Injective trying to wake up. This is interesting seeing Injective trying to break above beyond the $10 mark. Near protocol still under $3. So when I look at the top gainers and I see all of these with so much ground to make up for if they want to get back to those previous all-time highs, even if this market sneezes bullish on altcoins for a month or two, I think we see some pretty disgusting gains on a lot of these ones from the prices that they're at. I mean, these are beat down prices. Like the top gainer here looks kind of like Pepe, just an organic meme that keeps building higher lows. But, these moves end up being quite prosperous for people that have the guts to hold on to them. So shout out to everyone that it does have the guts. I just had a horse fly by behind me. I don't think you could see it because of the backdrop. This place is wild. This place is wild out here where I'm at. I'm loving it. I saw my pops out here too. This is exactly what my dad looks like. Just for everyone that doesn't know, it's kind of like the hardcore crypto Raiden. Sounds like him too. Shout out to Mortal Kombat. Shout out to my dad. He's a great guy. All right, so now we're heading into Bitcoin summer. A hot white Bitcoin summer will be hot. This is an overlayment of the M2 money liquidity. That's from Quinton, and we have the blue line in Bitcoin price. Now, there's been a lot of reasonable arguments that we did break parity to a degree on this Strait of Hormuz pullback, which is this guy, that little guy right there, right? So we have pulled back and made essentially a flatter shelf than what was made on the M2 money supply. So there is some validity to the argument. It's a different time frame of existence, but generally they both did build a shelf right at this mark right here. So where I'm seeing Bitcoin in terms of the money supply is just in tandem and really kind of mirroring it for quite some time. I had a conversation with someone that was on the outside of crypto, someone within my family, and basically it's not that Bitcoin itself is going to the moon; it's that printing dollars is going to the moon, and Bitcoin is retaining buying power in an environment of hyper printing, of governments trying to push themselves into hyperinflation, to have government-led fix-its to come in and kind of seize further control of people. This is how you do it. You create disasters. So this disaster on the M2 money supply, I think, is going to continue to essentially front run Bitcoin's price. To what degree can be argued. If this line of where it sits right now on the global liquidity stays and they stop printing, then by this chart's metrics, this would bring you to $190,000. It'll be interesting to see if Bitcoin can reach that peak parity with this M2 money supply on the top end of it before it goes down. There's a lot of large organizations that are putting their feelers out for these types of predictions. Standard Charter being a big one here in the United States, forecasting that Bitcoin's going to hit $135,000 in Q3 of this year. And by the end of the year, by the end of 2025, they're forecasting us to reach $200,000. So if you have 1,000, you're getting some Bitcoin now, and it turns into, 2,000. You're not going to, get rich, but you will keep up with money printing. You will keep up with the move from governments to push us into hyperinflation. You will keep up with that. And that, I think, is the kind of difference in mindset. The numbers, okay, great. We had 135, 200K. This also means that they're increasing the money supply by another, $5-10 trillion over the next 10 years at minimum. This is still keeping up with the rate of expansion of that money supply. So we did have some bullish news come out this morning in terms of jobs. CNN even had to admit how good things are going. Let's have a listen to this. It's always incredible to see CNN give Trump praise. Let's check it out.
You expected some of this, but this is better than expected?
Yeah, Sarah, it is. Look, this jobs market is like the Energizer Bunny. Every single time we expect it to run out of steam, it just keeps going and going. So these new numbers show that the U.S. economy added 147,000 jobs in June. That was well ahead of the expectation of about 118,000, well ahead of some whispers that we heard on Wall Street of a sub 100,000 number. So this is indeed beating expectations. We were also expecting a slowdown. We did not get that. This is basically in line with May, which was revised higher. It's also good news. The unemployment rate was expected to go up. It didn't. It went down to 4.1%. That is a very healthy number. This is still relatively historically low. And again, it's below the 4.3% that we had expected.
Incredible to see CNN having to admit this. And now there is some nuance to the data coming out in terms of jobs, who got the jobs, where they went. Native-born U.S. workers are up 830,000 jobs. Foreign-born workers are down. They're talking about, things in aggregate are going up. Foreign-born workers data is actually showing a negative 348,000 workers on these payrolls. So very interesting to see that happening. Kind of a different shift in macroeconomics. Good to see you, Mike Vollmer. I meant to say hello earlier when I saw you early in the chat there. Shout out, man, and have a safe flight on your plane there. What we see with these jobs numbers and with this economy is that there are mechanisms that have been fine-tuned over the past, 3 decades where they can skew the data how they want. They can make the data look how they want. It really is a matter of just understanding how the rate of inflation is affecting what I'm buying to understand that I'm still on the right path, that yes, there is still inflation. There is still difficult, and it really depends on your industry if you are in a heavy hiring industry or not. I mean, there's going to be specific sectors of industries that do better than others, and that happens with every single stress point on major economies like the United States. So you have to kind of pivot and find those ways of making more fiat currency. Good morning, Mr. Tom Allen. We got two U's too. Drew, are you selling your Chainlink bags with the Swift partnership coming soon? It's my number one bag. Chainlink's my number one alt bag. What I plan to do with Chainlink is essentially, yes, we have the Swift partnership in November of 2025 coming up. Now, my process is, a very utility-focused investor, and I take the utility as far as the reason why I get in, but my exit points are determined by if I'm gaining Satoshis out of that altcoin position or not at that given time. So what I will do and continue to do is essentially have the link to BTC ratio up all the time. I check this all the damn time. Now I look at these charts on the weekly time frame. So we'll go here, not the 1 minute because that's chaos. We go to the weekly. Now we have seasons where we gain against Bitcoin. We do. Doesn't feel like it right now because everything trends to zero against Bitcoin. But even Chainlink in this horrendous downward ratio graph of how much Bitcoin you get per Chainlink, I think we'll have that, another one of these little runs that basically go up to a trend line that leads to zero for basically all altcoins. If the Swift integration goes well and they continue to exist, my moon bag of Chainlink will be left behind to capture that value. But really, when I look at this, I could see another. This is how is when you're on the weekly and you're gaining for 2 or 3 weeks in a row against Bitcoin, and even this is a small little pump. This is when Chainlink went to $30 and Bitcoin is somewhere around $70,000. I mean, that was a huge, huge difference from where Chainlink is right now. So with this, if the November thing happens, fine. I am more concerned with just exiting on these alt escape pumps. That's what I do all the time with alts. Chainlink has been a very old bag. My entry points are much lower than the market price right now, and so I'm in a different situation than, let's say, if I bought Chainlink at $20 or $30. I'm in a much different situation than that. So just wanted to bring that out and kind of talk about it, because that's what is on a lot of people's minds. They got heavy in alts that have been a little bit asleep, and a lot of these alt graphs look like this, and you have to be willing to take those profits when they come. I mean, we had a time where Chainlink was really gaining against Bitcoin, but that was 2020, 2019 timeframe. That timeframe is not here, and I'd be thrilled and honestly extremely financially set if we even did something like this, a 250%, 200% move against Bitcoin on that bag. So that's the kind of stuff I'm looking out for. Not really determined by that Swift information. It is, set to go live in November of this year, but I'm not going to base all of my, holding strategies on that. I'm going to just base it off the data. If I'm gaining Bitcoin, for my Chainlink, and that parity is going well for weeks on end, I'm swapping it to Bitcoin, regardless of price levels. MetaPlanet is also now working with 130,000 shareholders. This company has doubled its shareholders in just 3 months. MetaPlanet, another Bitcoin treasury play, a shiny object for Wall Street to sit there and watch in awe, and essentially create a level of FOMO that I don't think anyone is really prepared for. Now, should that Wall Street FOMO trickle down to altcoins, that's where really insane things will happen. I think that time frame we could be looking at when Bitcoin breaches that $150,000 level. Swedish health firm H100 also added 47 Bitcoin to their balance sheet. They now hold 247 Bitcoin. More and more companies, this is a Swedish health firm, now moving into these Bitcoin treasury type designs. And it's really a big shift. People were you're talking to me about how they're handling their real estate investments, how the market looks like right now, interest rate levels. And I'm really I'm under enthused with renting places out to people. Insurance rates keep going high. Renter delinquencies are nuts. Let's see. I got a question from Alex. Where does your chart for alts versus Bitcoin come from? And does it show it on LBank? No. So I'm trading on LBank. Definitely use LBank for trading here. But this site is called Trading View. And you go to Trading View, you go to the crypto section, and really you can click this and type any pairing that you want into this, into this sector, and you'll get, I know a lot of people watching know this, but I saw Alex have this question. It's a very good question. It's on Trading View. And then if you have Solana, then you do Sol BTC, SOL BTC. You can do AVAX BTC. And you can just go through this, and all the major altcoins that you hold, find their pairing charts. And this is the recipe that I use to jeet these altcoins on really good moves. Like AVAX went from $10 to $52 in a very, very short amount of time. I'm a huge AVAX believer, but this chart gave me the confluence to jeet 90% of the bag and leave some dust in the bag to work for me. Okay. This is a very simple combination. Very, very simple combination. So I just see everything is trending to zero against Bitcoin. I'm being, and until proven otherwise by one of these altcoins, then, maybe that opinion can shift. But as things sit right now, Bitcoin is completely the daddy of this crypto expansion that I see. Now, this is an interesting concept. Boomers bought houses for $100,000 that are worth $1.5 million now. We can buy a Bitcoin for $100,000. And that'll be worth $1.5 million in a couple of decades. Honestly, I could see Bitcoin being worth $1.5 million around 2030. I really could. I could see Bitcoin being worth 1.5 million, $1.5 million by 2030. I think we'll look back and realize that this is the most obvious play possible. Yes, but then you have to have the cojones to pull the trigger on it, right? You know, not everyone has the cojones to pull the trigger on even $10,000 in Bitcoin. It looks so risky. Oh my gosh, it looks terrifying. It goes up and down by 10% within the week. Whoa, you know, this sector of investing in crypto, especially during the geopolitical tension that is going on right now, it takes a special gumption. It takes a special kind of person to be able to withstand the volatility there. And, you know, I really, really do commend everyone that's got the incentive to look at this market while so much distraction is going on. Very, very good work. I think you're going to make it no matter what, as long as you keep this mindset going. And we got to keep it going. It looks like this is coming out. Americans are going to need $1.1 million in additional savings to retire comfortably in 20 years. This is absolutely insane. This is absolutely insane. And you got to keep in mind the buying power diminishment. Like this, Gav1 and 8 had a great comment here. Do they realize $1.1 million in 20 years will only have $250,000 of buying power in today's money? Meaning that $1.1 million will be worth a quarter of what it is now in 20 years. This number of 4 million or 1 million honestly should be 4.4 million just to retire comfortably in 20 years. Things are going to get insanely expensive if we keep on this path right now. So we got to highlight this. Psycho Diamond Hands type person. That's right, baby. That's right. It's something that it's really something to lean into. It's like it's such a mind-boggling situation that I'm in right now. We're over $110,000, and when I talk to people here in Colorado, my loved ones, a lot of them really have stayed out of it and consider it risky. Even though I've been doing this for years, and I've been talking about it for years, they still consider it risky. It's like the true risk here is not making a move. The true risk is not getting into disruptive technology as investments, whatever it may be. We have a whole pile of innovation that's coming to the United States with crypto, with AI, with data centers, with nuclear energy. We have all kinds of different facets of this economy that are going to explode over the next 20 years. But with that explosion comes the explosion of the monetary supply. That's what we see on the M2 money supply. They're ramping out, they're printing because they have to build $10 trillion worth of energy infrastructure in and of itself. And we have to buy our own treasury bonds with stable coins. Now we have these freaking hawks coming out talking about their plan with stable coins and treasuries. There's so many reasons to protect your buying power because the printing has no outlook of stopping. No outlook of stopping. Senate Banking Committee has come out and they're going to hold a full committee hearing on the crypto market structure. This is coming July 9th. And in tandem with those trade finalizations that Trump is demanding from Japan. Now we also have Arthur Hayes thinking along my lines. This is what I said immediately when I was talking about the Genius Act as it was going through. Arthur Hayes warns, stable coins aren't about empowering fintechs like Circle. They're tools for big banks to unlock $6.8 trillion in liquidity to buy U.S. debt, aka Treasury. His take, it's debt monetization in Ethereum drag. Call it QE in disguise. His bet is on Bitcoin. This is so damn important to notice. It's like what we see going on right now is the government realizing that they can turn a new money printer on. This is them realizing, wait a minute, there's a new money printer. We can take advantage of it. We're going to leverage into stable coins and act like crypto bros and figure out how they're doing it, what they're backing their values with, and add to the buying power of treasuries. We're looking at a dump right now, Dizzy Gang. Isaac, can you confirm?
We are not dumping. Stop
What?
scamming the people. We are currently sitting at 109 and 15. This is not
One
a dump.
oh
This is
oh
we barely got flicked
yeah
in
yeah
the
yeah.
face.
Tis
And
but
we're
a
chilling.
scratch. Let me know on the 1088. That's what
I
I'm
will. We
watching
have
here.
yet to come close to that, but
Yeah.
we're good for now.
Yeah, Ethereum in drag. This is what we're talking about here. Arthur Hayes shooting shots out. The tools for big banks being these stable coins. And this is on the comments of the expansion in stable coins that we do see. You know, I have this set up for the altcoin sector to show how strong Ethereum is. But honestly, it plays right into this conversation. Stablecoin supply on Ethereum has now hit an all-time high of $135 billion of stablecoins on Ethereum. The ramp up of DeFi on a government level is coming. These are the testing of the water. This is the toe dip of the literal system that prints money into crypto. And Arthur Hayes sees it. I see it. The American people see it. We just need to wake them up here. We also have Bo Hines out here talking about the outlook of this stablecoin legislation that just passed and how much money is actually coming to stablecoins.
Both great public-private partnership
Whoa. It's
between the
good
miners
forward here. Hold
would
on.
be a phenomenal way to accumulate Bitcoin for the reserve. Bo, it's great to have you here. I really appreciate not just you taking time out of your very busy day at the White House here at the Bitcoin conference, but to spend a few minutes with us. We really appreciate that.
No, absolutely. Thank you, Fred. It's a pleasure to be here.
You're doing all this great work for the industry. I know you guys have the Stablecoin, the Genius Act teed up, ready to go. What do you think the impact of that is going to be?
It's really monumental. First and foremost, I don't think it should be lost on anybody. We haven't had bipartisan legislation move out of Senate banking and actually get passed since 2018. I think our Democratic colleagues certainly understand that the United States needs to lead the charge in terms of updating our current financial systems. I've said repeatedly throughout this conference, everything else has evolved, right? The ways in which we communicate, the technology that we use, the ways in which we move money really hasn't. And I think that's shocking to a lot of people. But what Genius does, it permits instant settlement times, more cost-effective payments, more transparency. It secures US dollar global dominance for decades to come. And, this should be the least partisan piece of legislation that ever moves through Congress. So, we feel very optimistic about where things stand. I think we picked up some 15 Democrats on the cloture vote. Hopefully next week we'll get this thing passed. We'll move it to the House and put it on the president's desk to be signed.
Talking about 15 to 20 trillion dollars making its way through stable coins over the course of the next 10 years. A big call. A big call. And now I'm not going to be surprised if this does go down in what he's talking about happening. The expansion of the Treasury balance book using stable coins and this hybrid mutant relationship of crypto to TradFi. It's going to be a thing that, is going to take 20 years to completely form. And when it does, man, it'll be interesting to see what happens to Bitcoin if they allow proof of work and actual freedom at that point. We have banks like Wells Fargo and Bank of America now panicking because 89% of Gen Z and millennials report that they will leave their banks for crypto and DeFi platforms offering yield, tokenized stocks, and Web3. Isaac, I think I'm a millennial. Okay. Are you what generation are you?
Z, unfortunately.
You're Gen Z. Okay.
Indeed.
Unfortunately, I mean, you got more years ahead of you than me.
Do
So
what you can.
Is this, I feel like this is a little bit hyperbolic of a, how many kids your age bring up DeFi and yield to you?
I know of one person. I used to play basketball with him. He does like all the day trading stuff, and he
Okay.
does all the crypto stuff. But it's literally he's the only one. Everyone else is like asking questions about, like people started asking questions to me, like people my age when the Trump meme coin came out, and because they saw this huge thing in crypto, and Trump was doing all this meme coin stuff. So they're like, how are you getting into meme coins? So I had to redirect them outside of meme coins because that's not where we want to start, first of all. But no, this is too hyperbolic. I don't think 89% is accurate whatsoever. I think it's in the 20s to 30 range actually
Okay.
of where
Okay.
people my age are actually looking at DeFi and crypto in general.
Yeah, I mean, it's just something I wonder about. It's, it should be 100% of people are interested in learning how to make their money make money for them, right? You would
Yeah.
think that that's a pretty high number, but I think that a lot of people are just kind of caught up in the day to day that are in the Gen Z and even the millennial realm.
Yeah.
I went to a pretty affluent high school, and a lot of the kids came out of there. I mean, honestly, a lot of them are not doing well. Coming from an affluent location, it doesn't really help you if you have no work ethic in a hyperinflationary environment, right?
Yeah.
It's a tough thing to get, but yeah, I could see if DeFi crypto and airdrops goes viral every day, this could be a thing. I don't think lazy kids will put in the effort. Yeah, it's just it's a whole new demographic now. Like it's almost like economic nihilism is what
Yeah.
I see in the eyes of the younger generation. It's like economic nihilism because they see these $500,000 houses, $1 million houses being the average.
Mhm.
Cars cost basically an entire year's salary. And I think that they've kind of, it's almost like a defeat in their eyes. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I don't know. I'd be hard pressed to believe that 89% of Gen Z are looking for DeFi, but hopefully if we can keep
Hopefully
working
that
and
changes.
hopefully that
Hopefully
changes.
that 89% is actually something that comes into fruition.
Yeah,
Because
I mean, absolutely, it's something that it's such a complex thing to just throw on the table of someone that's already kind of having trouble economically, because their mind's wrapped around what food they can afford at 7-Eleven or whatever. But I think if you just start that conversation with just having them understand what their buying power is doing, and really making it clear that they need to find a mechanism to outpace inflation with, be it a great job or business you come up with, be it getting involved with DeFi, be it learning how to trade and getting involved with that. There's just different ways we have to think about making money here. Another one that's been giving me FOMO, Circle, the stock. It's now filed for National Trust Bank Charter post IPO success. We did talk about this yesterday. No deposits or lending can be self-custody USDC reserves, and it cuts BlackRock dependency. So an interesting move from Circle in this bank trust movement. We'll see if they pull it off. Trump continues to crash out on Jerome Powell, said he should resign immediately every single day for the last week or two. Trump has come out going after Jerome Powell, trying to push that needle. Can we get him taken out, replaced as a chair? Not up to us. It's up to the Federal Reserve Board themselves. And I think Pulte, the leader of the housing division in the U.S., calling on Jerome Powell's investigation with their board actually carries more weight than these. Now we have the rapid response coming out talking about a stronger than expected economy, unemployment rates falling, resilient economy, yada yada yada, strong data. But we look at kind of what's under the curtain here. U.S. private payrolls actually are starting to shrink. ADP private employment dropped 33,000 in June, the most since March of 2023, and additionally 3 previous months have been revised down. As a result, the 3-month average payroll growth fell to 19,000, the lowest since the 2020 crisis. So this is just what's under the hood. They find mechanisms to get the good data out to show things are going great, and you look behind it and you're like, that's not that great. Other things that aren't that great, healthcare stocks now underperforming the S&P 500 by the largest margin in more than 24 years. Maybe a time to watch out in case the WHO decide to do another product push. If you know what I'm talking about from 2020, the large therapy drug product push that this world went through. Healthcare stocks are now underperforming greatly. So the conspiratorial in my mind goes to keep an eye out for any new weird releases, any new weird mandates, any new weird medical products that everyone's mandated to utilize to move freely in society, because it might be a movement to pad the pockets of the people that are looking at this loss right now. So Delinquency rates are also hurting the macroeconomy. The commercial mortgage-backed security side for offices, the delinquency rate within these offices has jumped 49 base points in June to a record 11.1% delinquency rate for commercial mortgage-backed securities. Major problem. This has now officially surpassed the post 2008 high of 10.7% and the December 2024 peak of 11%. Since the beginning here of 2023, the delinquency rates on these office buildings has skyrocketed by 9.5 percentage points. Absolutely massive new moves. And honestly, this is going to be news when people start to realize the delinquency rates of these commercial mortgage-backed securities, and then they see my favorite graph, which is the FDIC unrealized losses, breach and get near that $1 trillion level. People are going to lose their minds. You're going to see small, mid-sized banks go under. You're going to see a bunch of banks absorbed by the FDIC, just as we saw in 2023. And it's just going to further compound my resolve to stay within Bitcoin so I don't get caught up in these banks' bullshit, over-leveraged Ponzi schemes that they use to keep their doors open. Now, Amazon is deploying its millionth robot and launching a deep fleet AI to boost delivery efficiency. How long until we're looking at an AI robot delivering our packages? How long you give it, Isaac?
At this rate, 4.5 years.
4.5 years?
4.5 years.
Are we?
Yeah.
4.5 years? I'd say that's a pretty good assessment. I'm going to go a little bit ahead of you. I'm going to say 3 years.
Okay.
I'd say by 2028, we'll have robots delivering. Steve Crypto thinks 3 years, sufficient enough, good. I want to see. And then the drones, right? The drone deliveries, it seems like they're right around the corner.
Drones is like 1.5 years.
Drones 1.5 years. This is why it's so damn important to learn how to make money work for you guys, is because this is going to displace sectors that people feel are completely safe right now. It will displace those sectors in 10 years. So when we're looking at this, you have to find ways to make money work for you, to make your money make money for you. This is why we're so focused on this, you guys. I don't want to see people fall victim to finding no use case when AI really takes over a lot of sectors. Got to figure out how to pivot, folks. Now, the latest developments in DeFi. The first U.S. staking Solana ETF went live. Robinhood's announcing its on-chain stocks on Arbitrum and its own development of a layer 2 for Ethereum. Jupiter Exchange enabling its users to trade tokenized stocks, a major test, a major use case of crypto keeping Wall Street open 24/7. Infinite launches a Yapper leaderboard. We have Velodrome launches Super Swaps. Mass coming out and trading on Hyperliquid directly from its mobile app now. Huma Finance released a major upgrade to Huma staking mechanisms. Virtuals launch on-chain governance. So many more. So a lot of developments are happening in the DeFi sector. This is where you can keep up. DeFi Investors is a great one, but obviously the homies from the channel are one of the best DeFi, crypto, and airdrops. Veteran Crypto. Don't miss their stuff. They really find some great picks. A huge shout out to them on some picks they did. I think about maybe a month or two ago. I know Veteran Crypto and Jeff were talking about Kita and Plume. Kita and Plume have recently been on a tear, obviously, and they give a highlight and a link for our Discord where they dive deep, do DeFi workshops in there. We're getting things scheduled out. I'll be building out my own schedule for trading streams within the Discord when I get back in on Monday. But I am curious on where these projects, Kita and Plume, are sitting today. So let's hop on over to the good old coin market cap. Let's check out how Kita's price action is doing. We're getting a little bit of a haircut, 12% on the day. Things are calming down. Okay. A little bit of calm. I like this. I like a little bit of calm. I might actually end up getting a little Kita with some of the tether I printed this week. I might get just a little bit of Kita.
Do it.
And then Plume. I already have a bag of Plume. I'm actually gonna get to work. I'm going to get Veteran Crypto on the call, get in the Dig Discord, get on a call with Mr. Veteran Crypto, and get this plume to work for me here. Let's go to the month. I'm kind of a perfect example of someone who needs someone like Veteran Crypto in my life, because I'm so focused on trading, and he's, like, this is why we're a large group, is because he can't be the master of all things here. Very appreciative of that guy. Now, Plume is up from that hammer buy I did at 8.4 cents, which is great. We're at 10.8 cents as things sit right now. Very, very violent moves yesterday, but it's actually looking like it's trying to coil up and continue on up here. And really, 13 cents is kind of the bottom end of the channel that it was trying to build up for itself before this major Iran-Israel pullback for altcoins. So nice to see on Plume, but just good job, you guys, in the DeFi crypto and airdrops channel for finding those little gems. You got, you know what? I found, and I wasn't in the mood to buy altcoins. It looked like a good project, picked up a little bit. It's going good. The SEC is pausing Grayscale's digital large cap fund conversion into ETFs. This would cover Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Solana, and Cardano. Now the SEC has placed this under further review. The time frame for this, it is aggravating, but the further out and the longer the conversations of these ETFs happening, the longer this lasts, the better. In terms of price, I think it hoists price up a little bit better. So I would say that we have the Solana ETF SSK. It took in $12 million on its first day yesterday. According to Osprey, it told Decrypt, we won't see it in the data till tonight. Pretty solid performance for it as it comes out and breaks out on the scene. Not bad. Not a bad showing. And I want the Solana ETF to do well, because I want to show and see these ETFs for altcoins that aren't Bitcoin are worth something more than the paper they're printed on. I'd like to see that. So now we hop on over here to Ben Grossman. Ondo, he's referring to his leadership at Ondo, saying that not all tokenized equities are created equal. There's too often limited transparency in token issuers actually holding enough stock to fully back the tokens, and they have clear protections for token holders if they don't. So when we talk about real world assets and my comfortability level with them, I think, one thing that really put me over the edge and made me okay to hold a bag of Ondo is that when you get into messing with US treasuries, it's very hard to fake things. It's very hard to fake treasury backings or representation of treasury that's, backed by goods on the other side of the table. And I do feel that way for real world assets in the real estate industry as well. And there's a slew of different products out there that are coming, in connection with the real estate industry. I just feel like if you're tied to actual backing of real estate, locations, it's a lot more of a sound investment for me, because of course this is not financial advice. This is me talking about my experience in this market right now. I want a product that is more difficult to fake, and it is more difficult to fake real estate backings, more difficult to fake treasury backings, and I think that matters quite a bit. Now Trump's out here having fun in crypto, it looks like. We got Trump, the Trump family, earning $620 million from their crypto ventures. This includes token sales, a Trump-branded meme coin, and a 20% stake in American Bitcoin. Trump is laddering his bags into crypto in a big, big way, sending a quite clear signal across the world to the sheiks, to all the big money players, because Trump is a very, very watched individual on planet Earth right now. Very watched individual. Like, if not the most viewed individual on the planet Earth. And him leaning into crypto in this regard, making the level of revenue that he is starting to make on this, is not going to go unnoticed. I think that what we're seeing is because if we're going to block our elected officials from trading stocks that they make judicial decisions about, they also make judicial decisions about the real estate industry. They also make decisions about many, many different industries that they have current investments in. So, Nancy Pelosi trading aggravating? Should it be illegal? No, I think it should just be transparent. I think it should just be transparent. We should see what they're doing as it's happened and not have to wait for those quarterly reports where we can find out 4 months after the fact that Nancy Pelosi bought yada yada stock. Instead, go ahead, do it, but be transparent so every other investor out there can see her moves, can see those plays that are trickling from the White House into the literal balance sheet of Nancy Pelosi. I think that if we could see that on a transparent basis, might not be bad. Might not be bad. Let's see here. Drift a buy right now. What do you think, Isaac? Have you been looking at the drift
I bought
charts?
yesterday.
You did?
Yeah, I bought 39 cents yesterday. I don't know where it's at now. I'd have to go pull it up real quick.
Okay. Yeah, you picked up a little drift. Okay, good job.
I did because I was telling everybody yesterday, and I was telling you yesterday as well that I forgot that I had Griffane. So I ended up using that move out of Griffane into Drift because Drift is like what $14 above my original entry. So I was like, that's a little good. We're at 38 cents right now, so not bad.
38 cents right now for Drift.
Decent. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm having like what I saw on the charts today. I think Kita has calmed down to the point where maybe like a small beginning of the bag might be in order for it because it has been a very, very good mover. And Drift, there's Marinade within the ecosystem. We have, and as you said, Drift is at 38 cents, very sleepy looking, but I mean, it 4x for me in like literally one night. I was able to cheat it out there. Now, yeah, I mean, it was crazy. It went absolutely ballistic. Now we do see the success of that Solana ETF, and the staking within it. We have to keep in mind the staking mechanisms that are the strongest on Solana, Marinade, and Camino. So we haven't missed anything on these moves. I'm actually hopeful for lower prices by the time I get back to the office, but Marinade and Camino looking very coiled and essentially sitting on rock solid floors. Now we have Solana staking options rolling out here. This is something I got to watch. Because it's showing success. The Solana ETF isn't some bluff. They've pulled in 12 million in revenue in the first day. So it's not like it's going to be a giant flop. It's going to be much smaller than Bitcoin for sure. So we can't really compare the Bitcoin ETF inflow stats to this yet. It's a very new thing having a altcoin specific ETF. So we'll see how that plays out. In terms of the trade entry point, did I not get it? We bouncing.
Nope.
Let's check where we're at right now. 109.3. It's trying to just set up a series of higher lows. Came down to about what came close, $108,984. About $180 off. Let's see that wash out of how much food is below us. There is still a chunk of food there. It's not dark. It's not like bright yellow, but it is about $100 million worth of liquidity just right there. I'm going to be playing this careful. It is Friday. I am superstitious. Oh, it's not Friday? It's Thursday.
It's Thursday. Yeah, you're good.
Oh my! You know why? Because we don't have a show tomorrow. That's why my mind was already on Friday. That's what just happened. Yeah. So and you know what? If you're out there celebrating this 4th of July, which I hope you are, do be careful. Just in case. I have seen the media powers that be. They're shilling a uncomfortable occurrence on July 4th, I'd say. And it's Independence Day. It's a time frame of celebration for patriotism. I'm not saying to be scared and don't go out. Just keep your wits about you. We have things like this coming out from Fox, and of course, Fox is a major media conglomerate, probably pushing a mindset of fear. But this is what they're putting out from the Department of State this morning here.
There are Iranians that have come across the border when it was wide open. That is a big concern, obviously.
It is. And we talked about this at the time during the last administration. The number of people who are on the terrorist watch list that we knew had come over. The issue becomes who we didn't know who came over, right? From both the northern and the southern borders. This is obviously now we've got a DOJ, we've got an attorney general, we've got a president who understands the importance of safety in this country. And that is now built up. We know just President Trump's presence has sealed that border, but it is about from city to city, town to town, knowing that we recognize the importance of safety in the streets, but you're going to get certainly alerts like this. We are ready for it, but Americans need to have that in mind as we move forward.
Just keep your wits about you, folks. You know, this is the sell, and really what she's saying is not inaccurate. And it is something that's in the back of my mind that's actually like up there with, you know, vulnerabilities to the grid and natural disaster. This type of movement is pretty up there on the probability spectrum for me. So, but it's not going to be widespread. You just have to be careful, you know, just be careful. Keep your mind's eye out. You know, there is a little bit of tension that's still ongoing. Things haven't been, you know, fully settled on that side. And if you're in the city center, look at this, Philadelphia. It looks like there's a break to their trash collection service. Trash piling up in Philadelphia after Democrats canceled trash pickup in their program for it. Philadelphia residents say you got to be effing. I mean, we kind of got to watch. If you got kids in the room, cover their ears. This is Philadelphia.
You fucking kidding me? This shit is nasty. Where all this trash come from?
This honestly, you know, I mean, I'm hoping that this is not a widespread problem. Have you were from New York, weren't you?
Yeah. I could get confirmation.
I mean, dude, get confirmation. You got some friends in Philly?
Family. We're the only one in my entire family that's not in either Philly or New York. So yeah. I'll get confirmation from a couple places.
I mean, I hope that ain't real. I really hope that ain't real because that's you're in a city that's like locked in a grid. You got your house in there, and then all of a sudden bureaucrats just decide to shut off the trash services, and so you end up with a mountain of trash outside. Like, oh my god, bro. Don't rely on governments for really anything, man. That's where I'm at with things. It's, you know, I'm here to save myself. And this, you know, I talked about the pressures. We talked about something that's, you know, I will kind of reemphasize. One of the biggest data points I think we saw today was commercial mortgage-backed securities are ready to essentially send a bunch of banks insolvent once again. The same setup that we saw, but even more compounded, even bigger of a problem than 2023, which was Silicon Valley Bank, First Republic Bank, and a slew of others. You know, they went under in a blip of an eye. FDIC absorbed them, but the problem, the reason to print, has grown within what the data shows, what's actually going on at the Federal Reserve, and what these interest rates that we're sitting at right now. The reason to print has grown for the government. The M2 money supply, if things work in tandem, if Bitcoin continues to fade the money supply, honestly, this is getting close to TJ's $200,000+ target. Conservatively, I can still feel and look around the $150,000 mark for Bitcoin, up to about 190,000. That's where I'm sitting right now. But you know what? I'm not going to get shaken out. I'm going to be trading it either way. On the way up, on the way down. That's the beauty about trading. That's where I really feel very empowered about how much learning and how much work that we've done over the past 4 years, 5 years at Hit Network. I mean, Hit Network has been focused on it the whole time it's been in existence. I'm coming up on 3.5, getting close to 4 years here. And it feels I feel very blessed to have been able to spend this amount of time really getting the vibe for the charts, and getting that skill set sharpened, because it is a pretty fun thing to be a nomad out here trading. But I am going to be coming back in the office on Monday, and very excited to do so. It's been a great trip out here in Colorado, seeing friends and family. Spent some good time from. I did slight chart movement. I only put in 2 trades this week, but both of them were great winners. taking that away as a win. If I do see this liquidation washout to these key levels as the day progresses, and usually Wall Street will shut down, a little bit of weakness will come into the market as the market's handed over to China. Where things sit right now, this main spot of about $107,500 matters a lot on that volume node. If we do come down and prove this downward trend line as our new support, that comes in at around $107,600. I know structurally it'd be scary to see this, but this is something that I had drawn out when we began, actually before we began the pump. We have had the pump now to expected levels, and now we got to come back down and prove this level as support, in my opinion. So longing in this situation, a little dicey, but I don't want to leave opportunity behind if we end up simply just coming to these channel highs of $108,300. So if I end up wanting to pull the trigger in the 108,000 realm, let's say if I get a good liquidity sweep, things look short term, just continually bullish, which the trend is very bullish right now. So going against the trend would probably be a problem. Things are kind of washing up to the food to the downside. Do you see this, Isaac?
I do.
This is drying up to the bottom end. Now we're just seeing a bunch of shorts come in here and act like they know everything. We know what happens with things when people do that. Trading, they get jihaded.
Liquidated.
Yeah. That's it. We need a liquidated button too, by the way.
Oh, we should.
Yeah. Welcome to Costco. I love you. That's weird, Mr. Mark. Hopefully they never get to that point. Man, I would leave. I love Costco, but not that much. There is this action at 108.3 as well on liquidation. So we're getting some confluence for just 108.3 showing a good washout level to the downside, but also would be the top end of this channel. So I can watch that in the short term, keep a stop loss on it if that time comes and that pullback does come. And then, if we have to look below that and that stop loss gets hit, I'll be watching this 107.5 spot. But those are my levels. Those are what I'm watching for in terms of trading. Every trade that we do, we got to think in terms of, I want more Bitcoin with this trade. That's the whole goal. I want more Bitcoin with these altcoin holds. The whole goal is more Bitcoin. So don't get in love with XRP and watch Bitcoin continue to exist while XRP continues to get dumped on our heads. The same way that I'm not going to expect the VCs holding Chainlink to diamond hand it all the way through to the next series of markets. They got in it cents. They're going to sell in multiple dollars, tens of dollars, hundreds of dollars. They're not going to hold to 1,000. So I just keep this in mind. I'm in it for the money. The tech looks like it's being captured by the Treasury. So let's just be honest with this. That's basically what's happening right now. I love and appreciate every single one of you out there. Have a great 4th of July. Isaac,
Yes,
excellent to have you on. Great background. I'm going to go hang out with the kiddos, enjoy some food, Colorado sun, and I'll be seeing you next week, Mr. Man.
Sounds great. I'll see you then.
All right. See you guys. Take care.
Peace out.